Yo, what up? Your boy Bowie here. The reason for this video is to tell the whole world, especially right now, y'all got me fucked up if you think I'm voting for Joe Biden, bro. I'm gonna explain in detail in a minute. So, all before, you know, uh, ever since this race for the November election began, and we found out that Joe Biden was going to be the nominee, I was incensed. I was outraged that the Democratic Party had struck again and screwed over Bernie Sanders for the second time, because that's what happened. And I'm like, I rewarded them last time. I felt like I rewarded them because they screwed Bernie over to usher Hillary into office. And I turned around and rewarded them by voting for her. And then she turned around and didn't win anyway. So I wasted my vote and compromised my principles. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm not doing that again. Then I dug into Joe Biden's history of authoring the '94 crime bill, about being wrong on damn near every issue that exists. Voted for the Iraq War, voted for the Patriot Act, wants to gut Social Security, even fought against abortion at one point, fought against integration, and all this different stuff. Dude's been on the wrong side of history basically his whole career.
I'll light you up.
So, for those reasons alone, plus the fact that he sat there and went on the Breakfast Club and told Charlemagne that, if you ain't voting for him, you ain't black and stuff like that. When he said all that stuff, I said, I ain't rocking with Joe, bro. That riding with Biden shit is played out. It ain't happening. Not going down with me. Okay? So I was already fairly committed to voting third party. But now, Joe Biden has chosen his VP, and it's none other than Kamala Harris. I'm not voting for that ticket. Hell no. Hell no. As a young black man that has done the mere modicum of research on these political candidates and has seen what each of them has fought for when they had power, what they committed their political capital to. I understand that these people have made black folks little more than target practice, collateral damage, if you will. And I'm not gonna reward them for throwing people like me under the bus for political gain. You know what I'm saying? So let me just talk a little bit about Kamala. So, for starters, Joe Biden picking Kamala Harris don't make no damn sense. One, she's a senator from California. Joe Biden was always going to win California, unless some sort of seismic right-wing shift happens in the California Republican Party, which I doubt. Biden was always going to win California. So it don't make no sense for him to sit there and pick somebody for VP from a state he's going to win already. Okay? She got damn near no delegates when she ran for president. Nearly none. Matter of fact, I just learned that she got less delegates than Tulsi Gabbard got. And Tulsi Gabbard was a raw outsider that nobody in the establishment wanted. And you have this Democratic elite darling getting less delegates than her? And she dropped out of the race sooner? And she outraised her too?
Round 2, fight!
So Kamala didn't get a lot of the support, you know, from the voters. The voters didn't rock with her like that. Furthermore, Kamala is deeply distrusted and disliked with a key voting bloc of the Democratic Party. Black voters, specifically young black voters. Generally speaking, we don't like her. We don't rock with her. And I know I don't speak for everybody. I know that. But she did an interview with the Breakfast Club while she was running as president in 2019. The video got 22,000 views. Of those views, 8,000 of those views were favorable, 14,000 were unfavorable. Let me say that again. That video got 8,000 likes, 14,000 dislikes. This is a major presidential candidate. More or less the female Obama. Okay? Someone who the media and the elites loved. And she goes on an interview and she's basically excoriated by the YouTube commenters. And they had a lot of reasons to dislike her. Some of it has to do with, you know, the fact that she married a white guy. I frankly don't care about that all too much because, you know, I'm not in their marriage. But even if I was in their marriage, I don't know why she got married to that guy. Maybe he really treated her well. And she really liked him and they have a good time together. We don't know. And, you know, speaking from the perspective of a married person, I didn't pick Victoria. First and foremost, I'm not going to even say I picked Victoria. But if I picked Victoria for any reason or, you know, myriad of reasons, it wasn't because she was black. I didn't think about that. Her skin color was not a deciding factor in me choosing her. I would have married her if she were purple. Okay? I like who she is. Her color didn't really matter to me all that much. At all, honestly. It gave us, you know, a commonality, of course. But like I said, it's not a deciding factor, so I'm not going to use that. But a lot of the people's gripes with her were very substantive. And I'll get into those in a moment. It's related to her history.
Round 2, fight!
But then Joe Biden picking Kamala Harris doesn't make any sense because with all that you know, as underwhelmingly as she performed as a presidential candidate, she had the most billionaire funding. She gathered more of her money from billionaires than any of the other candidates. And that concerns me because the billionaire donor class in this country has interests that are completely divergent from those of the working class, such as myself. They want us to work for free, long hours, with no pay, nothing. That's what they want. They won't be honest about it, but it's true. You know? And they don't want to pay us. They don't want to cover our insurance. They don't want us to complain. And honestly, if they can have robots making everything and don't have to pay people at all, they'll do that. They'd rather do that than pay people a decent wage. That's what the moneyed interests want in this country. And so when you have a candidate, any presidential candidate, or any candidate of any office, no matter what, in this country, of any party, when you have somebody like that that's burgeoned by that group of people, that tells me they're a corporate sycophant. That tells me that when working class people demand a policy that will help them, this candidate, this elected official, or, you know, presumably elected official, will not fulfill the desires of the working class people that voted them into power. Somebody like Kamala Harris is going to side with the corporations every single time. Kamala is not about to rock the boat. She's not about to fight for working class policies that help out regular people at the expense of corporations. It's not going to happen. She's going to please her corporate paymasters. Those billionaires that paid her all that money, they invested in her and they want a return on that investment. And she will give it to them, even if it throws the rest of us under the bus. So somebody like that, you can miss me with them. So, and then furthermore, well, so let me backtrack. So Kamala's from a state that Joe's gonna win. She's not very popular. She didn't get a lot of votes in the primary, which is another way of saying she ain't that popular. Young black voters and progressives don't like her and are quite willing to not vote for her. And then, on top of all of this, in this time of civil unrest, where Americans are talking about defunding the police and fundamentally transforming them and reforming them and all this, you gonna pick California's top cop to be VP in your campaign, Joe? I made the comment on Facebook. I'm like, sometimes I feel like the Democrats want to lose. They're actively trying to lose.
Final round, fight.
And I stand by that. Because it's like, how could you be so blind to the moment, my G? See, one thing about a person like Barack Obama, you can like him, you can hate him, whatever. But Barack Obama knows what's going on the ground. He can see the political headwinds changing and shifting, and he's able to respond appropriately, or at the very least, pretend that he's down for the cause. You know what I'm saying? He called this, as a matter of fact. I'm sure he predicted that the Democratic Party would head in this direction that we're in now. He foresaw it. And he has the clairvoyance to at least, pivot and try to mold himself for the sake of political expediency. Joe Biden doesn't even have that. Joe Biden is the same guy that he was in the 70s. He's still obstinate. He's still hard-headed. I mean, those are the same thing, but, he's still, same old Joe. And this would be good if he stood for working class principles like Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders is obstinate as well, but he's been fighting for the right stuff. He's repeatedly sided against corporate wealth and power and sided in the favor of the working class. And he's done this consistently throughout his entire political career. So merely being obstinate and unchanging in and of itself is not a detriment. It can be an asset if you stand for the right stuff. But then if you stand for the wrong thing, you just look dated. You look like just a raw boomer that just don't want to get with the times, You out here still using a typewriter while the rest of us are texting on the phone and, using laptops or iPads or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are mad antiquated for no reason. So, Joe, he doesn't, his decisions don't make no sense. They don't make sense. And I guess part of the reason why he chose Kamala is because she at least has a little bit of that clairvoyance that he lacks. Because she's smart enough to, change her stances over time to fit the moment, even at the cost of lying about what she actually represented. So let's talk about her record real quick, because it's pretty bad. So here's the thing, and her supporters will point to the reforms that she did while being an attorney general and a district attorney for California. They will point to some of her progressive accomplishments and stuff like that while working in that field. They'll bring up friends of hers that have positive things to say about what she did during her time as DA and all this. And, I will readily admit, her record is not completely trash. It's not filled with nothing but trash. It has bright spots here and there. Yes. That's called nuance. Okay? But for every good thing she did like 3 horrible things. So, first and foremost, she sided with police during much of her tenure. And this came after, you know, stepping out, you know, against everybody early in her career and receiving a bunch of criticism and blowback for it, you know. Very, very early on in her career. Apparently, you know, there was somebody that had, there was a case where a dude killed somebody and the state wanted to seek the death penalty, but she opposed it. I think he killed a cop or something. I'm not exact. I don't remember, because she, you know, she prosecuted a lot of cases and stuff like that, and so it's difficult to keep up with them all, especially when you're not well versed with legal jargon and all that. But she decided not to seek the death penalty for this person and fought against it, much to the chagrin of, you know, everybody around her and all that. And people, you know, made speeches about her, negative speeches about her. They campaigned against her like she was public enemy number one for that reason. And I guess she learned her lesson not to buck the establishment, because after that, she was a police ally, because you had cops that were, you know, accused of excessive force and wrongdoing, and she basically advocated for them at the expense of poor black and brown people. So there's that. Oh my god, I mean, there's so many things that she's done. I might as well just get to the highlights. She decided to not prosecute Steve Mnuchin during his time as the head of One West Bank in California. The bank was illegally foreclosing on people during the housing crisis, and her own office, Kamala Harris's own office, recommended that she go after him. She decided not to. She let it go. Come to find out, she received campaign contributions from Steve Mnuchin and his wife, as well as Donald Trump. Back when Donald Trump donated to Democrats. So she did a little quid pro quo and allowed this bank to get away with harming, again, mostly poor black and brown people, middle class black and brown people, because we know that in the housing crash, a disproportionate amount of black families lost a lot of their wealth because they got foreclosed out of their homes and all that. So then, and this is where stuff gets really messed up for me personally, her signature achievement. You know what? No, before I get to the signature achievement, let me talk about the fact that she fought to keep innocent black men in jail. There's multiple cases where the state, you know, accused a black person of a crime. She was, of course, the prosecutor. They withheld evidence that would have exonerated this person. And so, when the judge finds out that there was evidence withheld and they overturn the case,
Round 2.
Her office decides to keep the innocent person locked up due to technicalities. Oh, he didn't argue his case or file his appeal the way he was supposed to or in a timely fashion. So we're going to keep him locked up. Literally. Now I'm simplifying, the details because I'm, going off of memory here. Like, I'm not reading a script. I don't have any bullet points or none of that. But the details are true. You can look them up yourself. There was this one case where you had a guy who was accused of rape by his stepdaughter. And, of course he was tried in court. And the only evidence they had was the testimony from the stepdaughter. They withheld evidence. Her office withheld evidence, including testimony from the daughter's mother saying that the girl was a pathological liar and all this. And they withheld DNA evidence that, would have exonerated the guy. And again, found out about it. Didn't do anything to change it. So she just has this habit of locking black and brown people up. Or keeping them locked up. There was even an instance where, her office, I don't know if her office recommended it or the courts there recommended that non-violent prisoners of small crimes be released. She and her office argued that it would be a bad idea to release these people because it would hamper the prison labor force. Meaning, basically, we got to keep these non-violent folks in jail so that we can get free labor off of them. So that they can keep being slaves. Because that's what they do with prisoners in this country. They lock people up and force them to work for no compensation. Little to no compensation. Like literally $1 an hour. And corporations get to sell those products. Which is, of course, highly insidious and disgusting, honestly. That's why we need to abolish private prisons, but that's another story. So, her office did these things. Then, the cherry on top, her signature achievement during her time as a DA / Attorney General was her truancy laws. Basically, she decided to put parents in jail for a misdemeanor if students miss too many days of school. Now, at first, if you just think about it, or at first glance, it seems like a no duh, yeah. You got these kids missing all these days of school. The parents are neglecting them and not valuing their education. They should go to jail. But here's the problem. There's a billion reasons why kids miss school that have nothing to do with being neglected or disregarding their education. You're not finding the root causes of what causes truancy to begin with.
You drop this?
You're just trying to be unnecessarily punitive to people, not because you're legitimately trying to help a scenario, but because you want to look tough on crime to help your re-election chances. And these are in her own words. She said she had a little political capital and she decided to spend it. That's what she said. in reference to these laws. So this is about her spending her political capital. You know? And so I looked at an interview of a lady by the name of Cherie Peoples, whose daughter had sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is debilitating and painful. It is a genetic disease where people that are afflicted with it often experience uncontrollable, intense bouts of pain. Like they're doubled over on the floor. You know, apparently, the daughter said it felt like someone was stabbing her bones, you know? And so, you have people having random, uncontrollable bouts of pain. You want to send them to school? You can't make that person attend school. You know, so, quite obviously, you know, Miss Peoples' daughter would miss school a lot and be in the hospital. But she always had doctor's notes. She would go in front of, you know, the local school board there or the local district or what have you, and get her daughter's absences excused.
Round 2, fight.
Excuse me. So, the school, at the directive of Kamala Harris, turns her name into the police because her daughter missed X amount of days. And the way that law worked was, if your child missed more than 10% of the school year, you could be arrested as a parent for violating truancy. Now, there's 180 days in a school year. I know this from my 9 years of teaching. 10% of 180 is 18. I routinely have numerous students, at least 10 of them or so, that miss more than 18 days of the school year. They'll make that in a semester. Some of them will make that in a quarter. You understand? Truancy is mad high in Polk County. And you don't see nobody talking about some lock these parents up, because that's draconian. That's wrong. That doesn't get to the heart of the issue of why the kids are missing school. There's a million reasons why kids miss school.
Page 62, Johnny Cage dies. Is someone high?
The idea of punishing parents criminally with records does not solve that problem. And by the way, when you lock a parent up, how's that going to make the kid go to school? The kid goes into the system. I never had to go to school while my mom was locked up. Okay? You gotta have the kid find family to be with and stuff like that. That interrupts the school attendance process when you have a parent locked up. So it doesn't even accomplish the goal. And so in this interview with Cherie Peoples, she details how it made her feel, how all this stuff affected her. She detailed the fact that when she got arrested, there was a bunch of cameras all outside of her house,
Round 2, fight.
capturing the moment on film at the behest of Kamala Harris so that she could appear tough. Because they apparently arrested, 9 or 10 other parents that were violating truancy laws too. And what's messed up was they kept Miss Peoples in jail for literally a couple hours. They arrested her and released her the same day. So if this was about genuine wrongdoing, why are you releasing these parents the same day? It's politics. It was politically driven. You want to look tough. You want to look like you have it all together. Like you know, like you're tough on crime. Like you're making a difference. You did this for a photo op. And here's the thing. When you get arrested for even for a misdemeanor in this country, that mess up your employment prospects, because now you have to check that box that says, have you ever been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor? And if you have to check that box on your job application, you can kiss that job goodbye. You're not going to get hired over somebody with no record. And that happened to her. Also, in order to receive certain, services from the state government, you have to have a clean record. I mean, it's not universal for every state, but in California it was like that. So she lost access to her services. She even got evicted from her home. After she was arrested. And this lady had no record, not violent, not gang affiliated. Daughter, same thing. Good student, not violent, not gang affiliated. She's sick with sickle cell. And her mother got arrested for truancy. You know what I'm saying? And for what? So you could look like you tough? And then what made it worse is Kamala laughed about all of this. Like she's unrepentant, just like Joe Biden is. You know? Your policies harm people, but you say, oh well, doesn't matter. So what? I don't regret it. You did it to look good politically. And that's the problem. And so, having learned all of this, ain't no goddamn way I'm voting for that lady and that man. They're a horrific match made in heaven. Tough on crime bozos that harm black people and made careers off of it. And me as a black man, I ain't standing for that. Not voting for it, not supporting it, no way, no how. Because I got principles. I have students that have to deal with the same plight that I do because they are black men. How the hell can I as an educator support somebody that would do them harm? Someone that I know will do them harm. It's one thing if I don't know. It's one thing if I supported somebody and I find out later that, oh, this is what they did in their past. This is how they made their bones on the political circuit. It's one thing if I didn't know that this is how they were. You know what I'm saying? But once you know better, you're supposed to do better. And that's the purpose of getting informed. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. If you watching this video, I know you're not here for politics. You're here for Mortal Kombat. You know what I'm saying? But every single person in here is affected by politics. You are affected by the political process, whether you care to admit it or not. Especially if you are a student or a teacher. Because prior to 2001, your ass didn't have to take a battery of standardized tests in order to prove that you could pass high school. That was politics in action. And there was no Common Core prior to, what, 2014 or 2012? I'm not sure what Obama instituted. But there didn't used to be a Common Core in this country. Now there is. Well, now they're getting rid of it, but political decisions have societal impacts on regular people, whether or not you are engaged in the political process. And so politics is all around you. It affects you. And so in order for you to effectively engage in this process and choose people that will actually, vote for your best interests, you gotta do your research on these fools. You can't be believing these dumbass flowery speeches and lying ass interviews where people obfuscate their history and lie about what they support. Because that's what Kamala Harris did. She lied about supporting legal marijuana. She didn't support it. She voted against it mad times. And she locked a whole bunch of people up while district attorney and AG for marijuana. Apparently she locked over 1,500 people during her tenure in California for marijuana possession. And you gonna talk about you're in favor of legalized weed and lie on the Breakfast Club about it. And then this bitch gonna sit here and talk about are you kidding me? Of course I'm in favor of it. Half of my family's Jamaican. I ain't even Jamaican. But having spent time around my Jamaican family on my wife's side and seeing how hard they work and how they understand how the deck is stacked against them at every turn because they're black and immigrants. Okay, a lot of them, they work very hard to fight against the stereotypical notion of what a Jamaican is. Because when people think of Jamaican, they think of people with dreadlocks, with a blunt, talking about some, yeah man and all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Some people even go as far as to try to imitate the patois, knowing good and damn well they ain't ever met nobody that speak it and they don't know how to speak it, but they gonna try to give their little bullshit interpretation of it. Stop. Put some respect on their name. But you gonna have somebody that is Jamaican disrespect their own goddamn culture to get a political reward and to seem cool for the millennial audience? She's slimy, bro. She is grimy and slimy. That's why I called her a bitch, because that's what she is. Not all women are bitches. Most women are not. But that woman is a bitch. Because she'll step on people's necks to get ahead. She'll throw anybody under the bus. She's black when it's convenient. She's Jamaican when it's convenient. She's Indian when it's convenient. And she tries to be white when it's most convenient. Okay? She's mercurial and dangerous and unprincipled. So in other words, she's a lot like damn near all the other neoliberal Democrats in this party. That people want me to vote for. And that's the other half of this video, because this ain't just about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, honestly. Because they're trash, and they've been trash, alright? But what's more trash is you have these Democratic voters, these liberals, who love to point out how the Republicans engage in voter suppression, which they do, and all this, and the Trump supporters are, blind followers that don't fact check, they're not informed, they're not educated. They just believe everything he says and they hang on his every whim and they support him no matter what he does. You have these liberal voters that point all this out all day long. You'll sit around at gatherings and have a bunch of conversations about how stupid these Trump voters are and how idiotic and how they are susceptible to propaganda and how they don't think critically and all this, right? We'll sit there and do all that shit. But then, when somebody like me says that I'm not voting for Joe Biden, now suddenly them same liberals, them same Democrats want to come for me and use the same arguments that the Trump voters use. See, the Trump voters maintain that the Democrats are so terrible that it doesn't matter what Trump is doing. It doesn't matter what Trump is doing or not doing. It don't matter that he's not perfect. We're not voting for perfection. We're voting for a fighter. We're voting for a president, someone who's going to stick it to the man. The blue voters use that same logic, saying if you don't support Joe Biden, you might as well just basically give your vote to Trump. Excuse me? No, motherfucker. I can say that both of them are trash. And I can vote for neither one of them. There is a tertiary option here. Vote third party. And that is a viable option. I know my third party candidate's not going to win the election. I know that. I'm well aware of that. But the idea of not voting is not an option for me. I got to vote. I got to vote. But I'm not voting for two steaming piles of dog shit. I'm just not gonna do it. Because if we gonna sit here and say that we don't like Trump because he's a liar, he's a megalomaniac, he's a cheater, he's a pedophile and a creep, he's a sexist, he's a racist, we say that we don't like Trump for all those reasons, plus he's mentally unstable and all this, why the fuck would you then turn around and support Joe Biden, who has all the same characteristics that Trump has? He has the same characteristics, except he's more competent and more experienced. And those things make him better than Trump. Look, I don't deny that Biden would be better or is better than Trump. I don't deny that. I think that's plainly obvious. But then again, a bowl of ramen as president would be better than Trump. But I'm not about to go vote for a bowl of ramen. I need policy.
I've got nothing to lose. Final round, fight.
I'll eat a bowl of ramen. Real ramen, not that stuff that come in no package. You know, I'll eat that, but I'm not about to vote for it. And the reason why is because, like I say, Joe Biden ain't doing none of the policy things that people like me want and need. See, here's what these blue voters don't understand. Your vote is a transaction. You don't give your vote for free. You do it, you give your vote with the promise that you're going to get some policy out of your vote. That these people are going to materially benefit your lives in some way, shape, or form. That when you say you want this policy, that policy, and that policy to be instituted in this country, that they're going to go out and vote for it and fight for it. That's what you are voting for. It's not just some ritual that you engage in and don't think about. It's not something where, oh yeah, you just go to church, you know. What am I going to church for? To establish a better spiritual connection with God? That's supposed to be the purpose. You don't just go to church just to be there. You're supposed to be getting something out of going to church. And if you're not getting it, then you don't go. If your church is toxic to you, then you don't go to that church. Likewise, if you're voting for some people and they're promising absolutely nothing, you don't vote for them! Joe Biden is promising nothing except to not be Trump. That's literally his campaign slogan. Wow, that was trash. Damn, NetherRealm, y'all got to fix that shit. Anyway, Joe Biden is promising that he ain't Donald Trump. And that's more or less his campaign slogan. I'm not Trump. Well, that's cute. But that doesn't tell us who you are. Who are you and what will you do for me? Why should I give you my vote, especially for free? Bars. If you can't articulate that message, what the hell I'll vote for you for? I mean, for instance, none of these blue voters can tell me what Joe Biden's going to do in his first 100 days in office. What big grandiose plan does Joe Biden have? See, Barack Obama wanted to do universal health care. He wanted to get us out of Iraq. He wanted to fix the economy. Trump wanted to build the wall. He wanted to ban Muslims. He wanted to get out of trade deals and stuff like that. Does Joe Biden have a vision? A policy vision for this country? If so, can anyone tell me what it is? Because I don't know. What's Joe Biden going to do? He's falling into the exact same trap that Hillary Clinton fell into, because Hillary didn't have no damn vision neither. Nobody knew what she was going to do as president. All they knew was that she wasn't Trump. And that was her message too, and it didn't work. Her message was, I'm a woman, vote for me. And I'm not Trump. Joe Biden's message is, I'm not Trump. Sorry, bud, that's not good enough. That ain't no good enough reason for me to vote for you, because as far as I'm concerned, you are Trump. You're just diet Trump. I already made a whole video about diet racism and how it's more or less the same as regular racism. It's just with fake ass sugar in it. I'm not gonna sit here and drink no diet Coke when I can drink the real thing. You understand? Likewise, I'm not gonna vote for a diet racist when I could vote for the real thing. And make no mistake about it, Donald Trump can't get my motherfucking vote. I will skydive onto a bed of cacti before I vote for that man. Believe that. It's likely that I will never vote for a Republican candidate as long as they maintain their sane energy, because their energy is anti-black, anti-American, and toxic. It's pro-corporate, it's garbage. So I ain't voting Republican.
Round 2, fight.
But if the Democrats are hell-bent on emulating the Republicans and trying to be like the Republicans, guess what? I ain't voting for their ass either. And that's been one of Joe's trademarks, is that he kowtows to Republicans and pretends like he's a Republican on certain issues. That's been his policy. That's been his history. So no wonder Barack Obama never fought against them. Barack Obama spent his whole presidency trying to placate to the Republicans on his little half-measure shit. Trying to get them to behave and cooperate with him and all this shit. No, they were never going to do it. It didn't matter what you did. Who, nothing. None of that mattered, bro. They don't rock with you because you black. But you're so much of a moderate that your policies aren't all that different than theirs anyway, but they're too stupid to realize it because they racist. So Barack Obama spent his presidency doing that little tap dance. And now I'm wondering if he didn't get, a bunch of encouragement from Joe Biden to do those things. I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point. But my main thing is this. I can't stand this trend of Democratic voters doing mental gymnastics trying to justify Joe Biden as a viable alternative to Donald Trump. Obviously, he's the alternative, but he ain't viable. This man is trash. Nina Turner said it best. Voting for Trump is like eating a full bowl of shit. Voting for Biden is like eating a half bowl of shit. Either way, you're eating shit. I'm not gonna do that. No, 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 no. And you blue voters out there can give your votes away for free if you want to. I'm not going to do it, and you're not about to shame me into doing so, because that's what I've been receiving. I've been getting a lot of voter shaming and shit. And I'm just like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I thought we believed in freedom. I thought we believed in people not having their vote suppressed. Do you know why the Republicans engage in voter suppression? Because the people that they're suppressing are not going to vote for them. So because they're not going to vote the way that, the Republicans want, they're just going to try to stop them from voting outright. You know what I'm saying? But your Democratic voters are doing kind of the same thing. Now, you're not actively stopping me from voting, but you basically saying that I'm giving my vote to Trump if I vote for a third-party candidate and all this kind of trash. And I'm like, bro, your arguments don't even make sense at their face. Okay, so if any vote not for Biden equals a vote for Trump, then that should mean that it works the other way around. Any vote not for Trump is a vote for Biden, right? That's what that should mean. The Trump voters should be saying, if you ain't voting for anybody other than Trump, you're voting for Biden. They could say the same thing. So presumably, a third-party vote is a vote for both of them and neither of them at the same time. That don't make no fucking sense. No. A vote for Trump is a vote for Trump. And a vote for Biden is a vote for Biden. That's it. Yes means yes, and no means no. Maybe means possibly yes, possibly no. But maybe does not mean no. Maybe does not mean yes. There is nuance. There is an in-between. There are shades of gray. And these blue voters are making themselves willfully ignorant to that reality, just like they're making themselves willfully ignorant to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's actual legislative history. I'll put it this way. We know Trump is a racist, and he's toxic for black people. But Joe Biden has the legislative history of being toxic for black people. Trump can't say that. Policy-wise, Trump hasn't instituted a damn thing that has harmed black people. Policy-wise. Now, he's kicked black people out of his hotels and apartments and condos. He's called for the death of the Central Park Five, aka the Exonerated Five. He did do those things. But that's not legislative. That ain't policy. That's opinion. Joe Biden put policy that harm black people.
Round one, fight.
Trump only wishes that he had done that. You know what I'm saying? But you blue voters want to be willfully ignorant to that. Just like you want to pretend that a third party vote is automatically a Trump vote. Get out of here. It's not. Sorry, bud. Now look, I understand the larger point of what they're saying. They're saying that third party votes spoil Democratic votes. Yes, they do. But they also spoil Republican votes. They conveniently forget to mention that the biggest third party is the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party is right-wing. They take votes from Republicans. I'm not voting for them. I'm voting for the Green Party, which is a much smaller lefty version of the Libertarian Party. Can't do that drop. But you know why I'm voting for the Green Party? Because I agree with their policies. And their candidate's not a goddamn racist, a sexist, a predator, a creep, a cop. None of that. He doesn't have that history.
You ever shut up?
So even if I don't agree with him on every issue, he at least wants the same things that I want legislatively. At least I could say he's solid. And you know what the irony of all of this is? The irony is, all of us blue voters, you know, potential blue voters and current blue voters, we all have an issue with Trump that basically boils down to his character. His character's not right. We don't like the way his tweets. We don't like the way he talks to people. We don't like the fact that he says racist things. His words, his demeanor, and his character are the core things that people have issues with. Of course, we don't like how he handled coronavirus and all these other issues as well. But his character is a problem. So basically, character in a candidate is important. That's the main takeaway from this. The character that a presidential candidate has matters. It matters what he did prior to being president. It matters what's in his tax returns. It matters how he treats the women in his life. Whether he slept with a porn star, whether he grabs women by their vaginas without their permission. That stuff's supposed to matter, right? So the character of a man is important. It's an important, I don't want to say characteristic because I just used it, but it's an important attribute in determining whether this person should be president. That's the argument they make against Trump. But then, Biden has the same characteristics that Trump has, and now the character of that man does not matter to you. The way that you Democrats treated the Tara Reid thing was shameful.
Ready for my close-up.
Because when Brett Kavanaugh was accused of rape, that was all over the media. And people talked about it, and people were like, nah, fuck Brett Kavanaugh. Joe Biden is accused by Tara Reid, and y'all don't keep that same energy. Y'all shame her and say she lying and try to poke holes in her story and all this. When you wouldn't have done the same thing with Trump. The Joe Biden thing with Charlemagne was also shameful. The man said, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. So not only was he code switching because he don't talk like that regularly, he also tried to define people's blackness as a white guy. If Trump would have said anything like that, it would be reported everywhere. It'd be all over the news. CNN would be doing segments about it, excoriating him. It would be the talk of the town. But because Joe Biden said it and he's running against Donald Trump, people are satisfied with a paltry ass, dry ass apology. That's garbage, y'all. That's hypocrisy at the highest level. And I'm over it. I'm not going to participate in the hypocrisy, man.
Round one, fight.
One thing I've learned in these brief 31 years of life is that this world is chaotic. The only constant is change. And so, in this ever-changing, chaotic world, you gotta keep yourself grounded in something that is firm and solid and foundational. You gotta commit yourself to some principles. In order to stay on the right side of things, in order to continue to be the best version of yourself that you can be, you gotta commit yourself to principles. Principles of equity, principles of fairness, principles of a commitment to non-hypocrisy.
It's good to be king.
Round
Principles
two, fight.
to do no harm, as my principal would say. He technically doesn't go by principle, but damn it, he's the principal of the school, and it's a good saying that he has. Do no harm. Simple. Do no harm. You know, what I've tried to do
Final round.
is try to gather as many principles from various sources as I can. Of course, I'm, picking and choosing which ones are good and which ones ain't.
Martini shot.
And I'm doing my best to stay with them, remain consistent and true to those principles. Because I can tell you, I felt stupid voting for Hillary only for her to turn around and lose the election. Not doing that shit no more. I'm not gonna get behind a candidate I don't even really like. I don't even agree with a candidate that doesn't even want the things that I want. Not gonna fight for the things that I need. Turn around and support them, and they turn around and lose? Bruh. Hell no. If I was gonna compromise my principles, I should have been rewarded with something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Round one, fight.
so hell no, I'm not gonna compromise. You know why? because I'm not going to feel bad about my decision. I don't want to sit back and be like, you know what? I really should have did that, or I should have never done this, whatever the thing is. I firmly believe that years from now, I'll be able to look back at this moment and be like, you know what? I don't regret my decision. I made a sound decision back then. I knew that Donald Trump was trash and Joe Biden was trash. And the VPs were both trash. So I said, hell no, I'm not voting for damn one of them. Now, of course, we don't know what the future may hold. But I'm thoroughly convinced that the neoliberalism exhibited by both of these parties is going to destroy this country if people don't have a gargantuan rebellion first. A vicious overthrow. I'm not going to contribute to that destruction by voting for neoliberal suckers. Neoliberalism does not work. It sucks. It puts corporations first and everybody somewhere after. Amazon is at the tippy top of the tier list. And we're at the bottom rung. We need buffs. And we ain't getting them, to use fighting game terms. And so anytime that you as a blue voter vote for a neoliberal, you're voting against your own best interests. You're voting for them to keep you screwed over. Because Joe Biden ain't gonna give us what we need. Even if we pressure him to do so. He's gonna serve those corporations. And maybe you're okay with that. Maybe you've gotten so accustomed to eating scraps that you think that shit is a full-blown ass meat. Boy, you better be satisfied with these scraps. No, I'm not satisfied with these scraps. That's trash.
Round 2, fight.
You gonna bring me to the table or I don't vote for you. It's simple. This is a transaction. You do for me, I do for you. My support of the Democratic Party or Democratic candidates is conditional. It ain't free. It is on the condition that they advocate for positions that materially benefit me and people like me. And if they can't do it, then I can't vote for them. I suggest you do the same. Even if you're a right-winger, even if you hate the Democrats, you should be thinking the same way about the Republicans, because guess what? They don't give no fuck about you neither. They give less of a fuck about you than the Democrats do us. You know what the Republican Party does? They sit there and they co-opt your language about Christianity and about preserving life and being about Jesus and all this kind of stuff. That's what they do to their people.
I only need one take.
And so they'll give their people culture war policies. So they'll do stuff about bathrooms and transgender people and immigration and abortion and stuff like that, because they've convinced the Republican voters that the culture war is everything. So it don't matter if we steal your Social Security and kill your health care and, you know, take away your minimum wage and all this. We're gonna put an end to abortion, so that's gonna be that's gonna be the bee's knees right there. That's what you need to pay attention to. Pay attention to them illegals over there. Nah, bruh. They're manipulating you. They're lying to you. And I can't wait for the day when young conservatives realize that shit. That's really what this country's waiting on. Because the Democratic and Republican Party is nothing but two wings on the same bird. And that bird is not an eagle. That shit is a vulture picking off our bones, shitting on us. And so it don't make no sense for you as a right-winger to sit there and be like, oh, I hate lefties. Stupid liberals. That don't make no sense, bruh. And equally, it don't make no sense for liberals to be running around talking about all those dumbass right-wingers, those Trump voters, blah, 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 blah. Especially when you engage in the same goddamn activities that the Trump voters engage in. You're just as susceptible to propaganda as they are. You're just as willing to turn off your critical thinking button as they are, so be quiet. You don't get to talk no more. You and them are the same, and you demonstrated it. Nah, hell no.
Is this yours?
Hell no.
Round 2, fight!
These two parties are completely inadequate to serving our needs. The very best thing that we as people can do is threaten to take away our vote from them. Make them adopt the policy positions that we want. If we say we want legal weed, you don't support no candidates that are against legalizing weed. If you say that you work too hard at your job and you don't make enough money, don't support any candidate that's not willing to raise the federal minimum wage. Don't support them. Literally be like, look, I like you, but your policies on this suck, and I can't vote for you if you don't change that. If you have enough Republicans and Democratic voters deciding to vote third party, that will send a very clear message that, hey, they're not falling for our stuff. Especially if you go to these town halls and you get in these people's faces and be like, hey, bruh, you talk a good game, but every time you get in office, all you do is vote for these donor people to eat. And we out here starving. If you don't change that, I'm voting your punk ass out. If you tell these people that, and it don't even have to be everybody. It can be a sizable minority, a vocal minority of people saying this. If they do that, these parties are going to have to change their tune in order to remain in existence. And one thing that makes me happy about all of this is the young folks, people my age and under, I think they're understanding this. Even if they can't articulate it the way I just did, I think they understand this, because a lot of them are not voting for Biden or Kamala. A lot of them are voting third party. They are. There's a huge enthusiasm gap in this Democratic Party. And Trump is losing supporters too, even though a lot of his people are still going to vote for him anyway. Not everybody that voted for him the first time is going to vote for his ass again. So the Democrats stand a very real chance of losing to Trump twice. And I'm not going to help participate in that, but there is a part of me that almost thinks that that might be the better option. If for no other reason than to teach them that you can't screw with your base and think that they're going to show up for you and take you to victory. But even as I say that, Donald Trump is really horrible, so another part of me hopes that that doesn't happen. Because I damn sure don't want Trump to be president again. But, you know. I just get really passionate about this stuff because it affects our lives, man. It really does. And it don't make no sense for people to sit here and play with this and pretend like this is some sort of sport and they gotta cheer for their team and their favorite player, or they just gotta support everybody on the team no matter who they are and what they've done and all this kind of shit. That's stupid. No, this is not a team. This is not a team sport. This ain't no goddamn game. Matter of fact, you know what? It is a team. It is a game. The Republican and Democratic parties are teamed up with the corporates against the rest of us. It's us versus them. Us working and poor people and middle class people versus everybody else. That's the team. The team is not red and blue. The team is donor class and politicians versus everybody else. And I can't wait for the day that the overwhelming majority of Americans realize that. I think the young kids kind of know it because they got friends that are right wing and left wing. And everybody's struggling. You understand? At least in Polk County anyway. Ain't nobody balling. And they've picked up on the fact that no matter who their parents tell them to vote for, shit don't change. So it's like, that must mean that these candidates are trash. And it's so heartening to note that the kids recognize this. And I say it like it's like they're actually children, like it's people my age. I ain't no damn kid. But you know, people my age seem to generally recognize this quite well. And I'm very happy about it. Because that gives me hope for the future of this country, you know what I'm saying? Because we can't do what our parents and grandparents did. We can't give our blind loyalty to a party no matter what they do. We got to stand firm and on offensive, you know? And offer our vote for a price, not for free. But with that being said, everybody, I'm gonna call it a day. Stay educated, do your research. Don't give your vote away, man. Be diligent. Peace.